The wrestling world exploded on October 24, 2025 when Seth Rollins made his shocking return to Monday Night Raw in a moment that nobody saw coming. After weeks of speculation about when the Visionary would make his comeback, Rollins chose the perfect moment to remind everyone why he remains one of the most unpredictable forces in WWE history. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now because you don't want to miss moments like this. The Raw episode was already building towards something explosive, but what transpired took everything to a completely different level that fans will be talking about for months to come. Bronn Breaker had been dominating Raw with an intensity that bordered on frightening. The second-generation superstar had been running through opponents like they were training dummies, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake every single week. His Intercontinental Championship reign had become a showcase of pure power and aggression, with Breaker destroying anyone brave enough to step into his path. The locker room seemed terrified of him, commentators spoke his name with genuine concern, and fans watched in awe as he dismantled veteran after veteran with his devastating spear and raw athleticism. Every week brought another victim, another brutal beatdown, another statement that Bron Breaker was a force unlike anything WWE had seen in years. His confidence had grown to the point where he believed himself untouchable, standing in the ring after his latest victory with the championship held high, barking at the crowd that nobody could touch him. The arena lights suddenly cut to complete darkness. The crowd erupted instantly because they knew what was coming even before the first note of music hit. When Seth Rollins' entrance music blasted through the speakers, the roof nearly came off the building. Fans jumped to their feet screaming as the Visionary emerged at the top of the ramp, that familiar smirk on his face, dressed in ring gear that signaled he wasn't there just to talk. The pop from the audience was deafening as Rollins stood there soaking in the moment, his eyes locked on Breaker in the ring, who looked genuinely shocked for the first time in months. The commentators were losing their minds trying to be heard over the crowd noise, repeatedly shouting that Seth Rollins was back, and nobody had any idea this was happening. Rollins walked down that ramp with purpose in every step. This wasn't a casual return or a surprise appearance to wave at fans. The look on his face told everyone watching that he had unfinished business, and Bron Breaker was standing right in the middle of it. Breaker dropped his championship and prepared for a fight, his initial shock turning into that familiar aggressive stance that had served him so well. The tension in the arena reached a breaking point as Rollins slid into the ring. For a brief moment, the two men stood face to face, the crowd chanting at fever pitch, security and officials rushing down the ramp because they knew what was about to happen. Then all hell broke loose. Rollins struck first with a super kick that caught Breaker completely off guard. The champion stumbled backward but fired back with a clothesline that Rollins ducked under with lightning speed. What followed was an absolute war in the middle of that ring. These two traded strikes with neither man backing down an inch. Rollins connected with knife-edge chops that echoed through the arena while Breaker responded with shoulder tackles that would have broken lesser men in half. The officials trying to separate them might as well have been invisible because both men were completely focused on destroying each other. Rollins hit a sling blade that dropped Breaker to one knee, but the champion powered back up and nearly took Rollins' head off with a massive clothesline. The fight spilled to the outside where things got even more violent. Rollins threw Breaker into the steel steps with a sickening crash that made everyone in attendance wince. Breaker responded by launching Rollins over the announce table in a display of raw strength that shouldn't be humanly possible. Security guards finally managed to create some separation, but both men were fighting to get back at each other, screaming across the ringside area. Rollins grabbed a microphone while being held back by several officials and delivered words that sent shockwaves through the WWE Universe. He challenged Bron Breaker to a match right there on Raw, demanding that the Intercontinental Champion prove he was everything he claimed to be. Breaker's response was exactly what everyone expected from a man who had never backed down from anything. He accepted the challenge immediately, yelling back at Rollins that he would end his return before it even started. The match was made official for later that same night, giving both men time to prepare but not enough time for the anticipation to die down. Social media exploded with reactions as fans around the world processed what they had just witnessed. Seth Rollins was back and immediately inserted himself into one of the hottest storylines on Raw by going directly after the most dangerous champion on the roster. The build to their match later that evening became must-see television. Backstage segments showed both men preparing in their own ways. Rollins was shown stretching and warming up with that focused intensity that made him a multiple-time world champion. Breaker was pacing like a caged animal, practically destroying equipment in his locker room as he psyched himself up for war. The WWE production team did an incredible job building tension throughout the rest of the show, cutting to both men frequently and reminding viewers that something special was about to happen. When the time finally came for their confrontation, the atmosphere was electric in a way that only the biggest moments can create. Both men's entrances received massive reactions, with the crowd split between Rollins' returning hero status and Breaker's undeniable dominance. The bell rang and they immediately went at each other with everything they had. This wasn't a feeling-out process or a technical wrestling exhibition. This was two men trying to prove who was the tougher competitor through sheer force and willpower. Rollins used his experience and ring awareness to counter Breaker's power offense, slipping out of potential spears and devastating slams with veteran savvy. Breaker's offense was absolutely brutal whenever he connected. His power slam nearly folded Rollins in half. His shoulder tackles in the corner drove the air from Rollins' lungs. Every time it looked like the champion might put the match away, Rollins dug deep and found another gear. The Visionary hit his signature moves with precision, a ripcord knee strike that snapped Breaker's head back, a suicide dive to the outside that took both men crashing into the barricade. The near falls had the crowd on the edge of their seats, counting along with the referee and groaning when shoulders came up at 2. The finish came after both men had given absolutely everything they had. Rollins had survived multiple spear attempts through a combination of quick reflexes and ring positioning. Breaker had kicked out of a fence that had put away other top stars. In the closing moments, Rollins caught Breaker with a super kick followed immediately by a pedigree in the center of the ring. The crowd counted along with the referee, 1, 2, and Breaker barely got his shoulder up. Rollins couldn't believe it. He set up for the stomp, that move that had won him countless championships in big matches. As he went for it, Breaker moved at the last possible second and caught Rollins with a spear out of nowhere that nearly broke him in half. The referee counted 3 and Bronn Breaker had survived Seth Rollins on his first night back. But the story didn't end with the bell. Rollins grabbed the microphone again as Breaker celebrated with his championship. The Visionary made it clear that this was just the beginning. He told Breaker that he wanted the Intercontinental Championship and he wasn't going away until he got his shot. The champion responded by raising his title high and telling Rollins to bring it on any time, any place. The segment ended with both men staring each other down as Raw went off the air, setting up what promises to be an incredible rivalry moving forward. The return of Seth Rollins and his immediate targeting of Bron Breaker has completely changed the landscape of Monday Night Raw. The Intercontinental Championship picture just became infinitely more interesting with one of WWE's biggest stars inserted directly into the title scene. Rollins brings a level of credibility and star power that elevates everyone involved. His willingness to challenge Breaker immediately rather than work his way back up shows a hunger and intensity that has been missing during his absence. For Breaker, defeating Rollins clean in the middle of the ring on his return night is a massive statement that legitimizes his championship reign in a way that squash matches against mid-card talent never could. The WWE Universe is now buzzing with anticipation about where this rivalry goes next. Will Rollins get his championship match soon, or will WWE stretch out this feud over multiple pay-per-views? How will Breaker handle having a persistent top-tier challenger who won't be intimidated or scared off? What mind games will Rollins employ to get into the champion's head? The possibilities are endless, and that's what makes this return so exciting. Both men are incredible performers who always deliver in big match situations. Their styles complement each other perfectly, with Rollins' technical skill and high-flying ability contrasting beautifully against Breaker's power and aggression. The promos between these two are going to be appointment television. Rollins is one of the best talkers in WWE history, capable of cutting intense serious promos or entertaining the crowd with his personality. Breaker has shown significant improvement on the microphone and his intensity translates perfectly to verbal confrontations. The physical interactions we've already seen prove that their matches will be hard-hitting affairs that leave both men and the audience exhausted. This is the kind of rivalry that can main event pay-per-views and create moments that fans remember for years. From a storytelling perspective, this feud writes itself. You have the returning veteran superstar who has won every championship WWE has to offer, trying to add another accomplishment to his legendary career. Against him stands the young hungry champion from wrestling royalty who refuses to show respect to anyone and believes his time is now. The clash of egos, the battle between experience and youth, the fight to prove who truly belongs at the top of Raw, all of these elements combine to create something special. WWE Creative has all the tools they need to make this rivalry legendary if they book it correctly. The physical toll both men showed by the end of their first encounter proves they're willing to destroy themselves to win this war. Neither man took any shortcuts or looked for easy ways out. They stood in the center of the ring and beat each other senseless until one man barely emerged victorious. That level of commitment and intensity cannot be faked, and audiences respond to that authenticity. Every punch looked like it hurt, every slam appeared devastating, every near fall felt like it could be the finish. That's professional wrestling at its absolute finest. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel because we'll be covering every single development in this incredible rivalry. Seth Rollins is back and he's coming for Bron Breaker's Intercontinental Championship with everything he has. The Visionary versus the young powerhouse champion is going to give us moments we'll never forget. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an unforgettable chapter in Monday Night Raw history. Don't miss a single second of what happens next, because if the first encounter was any indication, we're in for something truly special.